says bass over here, so we're going to learn a little bit. First of all, I want to thank Rabbi Yossi for the sweet words. Generally, I detest introductions. But when it's from someone who I know and I love, and we have that kind of a connection, it's meaningful to me, and I appreciate it. Alan Fagan for arranging, working together with all the chevra that are here, and reminding me how important it is for me to come and to see this. I don't know how important it is for you to hear from me, and what is it that I have to share with you that you don't know. But I certainly gain a great deal by coming here. It gives me tremendous chizuk to know that there are people like you that are out there, that are spending Shabbos, Yontiv, weekdays, nights, these last few moments before Mashiach comes, to give nachas to the Bar Olam, to bring his children closer to him. We're living in a very, very miraculous time. Where we are right now is the Chasima. The Chasima is the end, it's the completion, it's the Ne'ilah of history. It's Mamish Erev Shabbos Ben Hashmoshes. And Chazal revealed to us an amazing thing. You all know that the Gemara considers the possibility of ending the first bracha in Shemoneh Esrei with all three of the others. Why don't we say Magen Avraham, Yitzchak, Yaakov? Why don't we? So Talmud Loimer, the Gemara says, V'hei bracha b'chach ha'isma. V'hei bracha, that you, Avraham Avinu, you are the one with whom we're going to seal this bracha. But the Svarim tell us, so Semis or Tzaddik, the Tzaddikim tell us that b'chach ha'isma doesn't only mean the end of Shemoneh Esrei, the end of that bracha in Shemoneh Esrei. But b'chach ha'isma means that the chasima of all of history, of all that we've been doing for thousands of years, is going to be with you. And that means many things. It means kindness, it means loving kindness. It means to what you're devoting your lives to. But I had a very great Rebbe. His name is Reb David Lifshitz, Tzaddik Kosh the Suval Karov was my Rebbe. And he had a Rebbe whose name was Reb Shimon Shkop. You heard of Reb Shimon? Reb Shimon spoke about this, B'chach ha'isma. Reb Shimon said that the chasima of Avraham Avinu was this. All of Yiddishkeit depends upon a Messiah. What we receive from our parents, and they receive from their parents, all the way back to the beginning. So Yitzchak Avinu received the Messiah from his father, and Yaakov received from his father Yitzchak. And that's how Yiddishkeit is. That's how Yiddishkeit is taught. That's how it's given. With the exception, of course, of Avraham Avinu. Avraham Avinu's father was Terach. Avraham Avinu didn't have a Rebbe. Avraham Avinu didn't have a past to draw from. He wandered, he thought. Hashem spoke to him. So Shimon said, we might think that at the end of time, the Chassima is going to be in such a way where all Jews are going to be strong, having received from their parents and grandparents the truth of God in this world and the truth of Torah. But for Tamalim with the Heya Bracha, B'chachais means no, at the end of the time we're going to see something remarkable. At the end of time, at the Chassima, the Ne'ilah of time, we're going to see thousands upon thousands of Jews who come from the house of Terach, who are B'nai Terach. Don't name Shula like that, right? But B'nai Terach. B'nai Terach, which means they didn't come from a world of holiness. They weren't the beneficiaries of thousands of years of Messiah. Something happened, something was interrupted along the way. And Reb Shimon said that B'chachais means that at the end of time there are going to be so many B'nai Terach. There are going to be so many Jews who are searching, who are desperate to find the truth because they didn't hear it at home. They didn't hear it from their fathers and their mothers. They didn't hear it in the yeshiva. So you and I are in a world filled with mavaksha. Mavaksha. And as wonderful as that is, there's a problem with it as well. And this is what I want to talk to you a little bit about. Yossi and I spoke the other day, so maybe I'm totally off and you'll be moichel me, so we'll just learn a little Torah together. But I want to share with you something that comes from a deep place within me. I don't think I'm the only person that feels this way. Some of you I know who are here, we've discussed this. Others I don't know. You remember that Yechezkel Hanavi had a vision that's called Chazayin Atzomas Ayiveshis, right? The dry bones. Who they were exactly, those skeletons, who they belonged to, there's a difference of opinion in Chazal. Do you ever feel like you're part of that world, the Atzomas Ayiveshis? Meaning, all of you come into contact, day in, day out, with chaver that want to learn, that want to grow. But did you ever feel that within yourself, that within yourself, you don't really have much left in you? Within yourself, there's something that's dried up. There's something that, along the way, while you were busy telling other people about Shabbos, what about your own Shabbos? Along the way of talking about the importance of tefillah, of davening, bamus, as we say, tzivishnuns, amongst ourselves. What's your davening? Are you inspired? You are all inspirers. You are all inspirational people to others, to the B'nai Terach of our generation. But it happens that the inspirers themselves, at some point, some earlier, some later, some single, some married, some divorced, but at some point along the way, you begin to feel an emptiness. And it's hard to give others, and it's hard to feel the authenticity of the message that you're trying to impart. And you know in yourself that it's been quite a while since you were on fire. Anybody ever feel that way, or is it just me? So if there's even one of you, I'm talking to you. Last winter, my wife and I had the schus to be in Yerushalayim for a couple of months. And there was a group of women around the world who were asking different Rabbonim and Rebbes and Mechanchim and Mechanchos and Rebbetzins to say a couple of words on a tape, a video. I think it was like a cover Tu B'Shvat, something like that. Tu B'Shvat, a Purim. And I shared with the Olam, I don't know who they were, the ladies out there. I shared with them something that I saw from the tzaddik, Reb Shaila Kerestir, Schusi Yolain. Reb Shaila was a very mysterious person. He was a great tzaddik. He was a Kodesh Kadoshim. Over the past few years, more and more people are hearing about him, and people are going to daven by his scene. My father's Olgazonzad remembers how in Hungary, every single house in Hungary, every Jewish home had a picture of Reb Shaila on the wall. So Reb Shaila, before he became a famous rabbi, Reb Shaila was a shamus. He was a shamus of the tzaddik, the Lisker Rebbe, Schusi Yolain, the Ach Pitur. And Reb Shaila had an inyan. You know, the tzaddikim that have, each tzaddik has a certain chaim, something about him. Reb Shaila's inyan was to feed hungry Jews. Simply, he spent his life feeding people who are homeless, who are poor. And he used to give out, his thing was giving out bilkelach, challah rolls. Shabbos, Erev Shabbos, he would start giving out bilkelach. He would walk around town with a sack, and he would find Jews that were down and out, and would give them bilkelach. So one time, it was in the Beis HaMedrash, and there were poor Jews that came in. It was Shal Shudas time on Shabbos, and Reb Shaila Kerestir is doing his thing. He's walking around handing bilkelach out to the Chevra in Shul. And the Lisker Rebbe, his Rebbe, was standing next to where he was supposed to wash. And he was watching Reb Shaila hand out the rolls. And the fellow that was there, the shamus that was with the Rebbe at the moment, said, "Rebbe, it's getting late. What's the Rebbe watching?" And the Rebbe said, "I'm watching Shaila hand out bilkelach." So the shamus said, "Rabbi Shaila is always handing out challah rolls. I mean, that's what he does." And he said it with a little bit of a, it was the other shamus, you understand. Shaila's always handing out bilkelach. That's what he does. So the Lisker Rebbe said, "Yeah, I know that's what he does, but listen to me. I'm watching him for a long time, and I saw that that bag was already empty a half hour ago, and he's still handing out bilkelach." So I thought a lot about that. There are many times that I share with my wife, not with others, but I share with my wife, I guess now with you, that I'm feeling empty. I feel like the bag is empty. And I don't know how I'm going to reach in and find another bilkel in that bag. Another good vart, another word of encouragement, another explanation, answer, Torah, drasha. I don't know. And Reb Shaila Kerestir had that magic bag that he reached into, and he was always able to pull out a fresh, hot roll for a Jew that was starving. And I meet many, many, many starving Jews from all different backgrounds, most of whom will never acknowledge that they're starving. They present themselves as if they're mamish full. But many who are obviously starving. And they expect me, and they expect you, to reach in and to come up with something. And after a while, when I'm Isaac in the singing already, Baruch Hashem, it's already 40 years. And after a while, and after you've been sometimes through your own inyanim in life, raising a family, Tavshin Ayin, Tess, After a while, you look into the bag and it's empty and you don't know what you're going to be able to pull out anymore. And what exactly can you do to inspire others if you yourself were seen in the vision of Yechezkel, of the Atzamas HaYeveshis? So of course the difficulty that I'm talking to you about today, Chaver, is called in Svarim Ischadshis. Ischadshis. To be mischadish. All of Am Yisrael is begging Hashem Chadesh Yameinu Keken. Ruach Nachon Chadesh Keken. Chadesh, Chadesh. I'm old, Baruch. I'm dry. Sometimes myself, I need so desperately to have chizik from somebody else. And then there are people in my life who want me to give them chizik. Ischadshis. So in order to understand a little bit about reaching into Reb Shaila's big and finding something, we need to understand when all of this began. The first galus that we went into after we had been in Yerushalayim, the first galus was with that very same Navi. We left with Yechezkel and Navi. The Navi Yechezkel said those words that are still cutting into us. Yechezkel Navi said, "Va'ani b'soich hagoyla," and I am b'soich hagoyla. I am in Golos. Rav Kook explains Va'ani, the ani, the I, the essence of who I am is in a state of exile. Va'ani, the ani, is in Golos. Va'ani b'soich hagoyla. I spoke before Rosh Hashanah to some of the women in Shul about where this vision took place. Do any of you know? Where did this happen? It happened on the Haras Bavel, which itself is a chiddush that the Navi had. The Gemara explains how is it possible that the Navi Yechezkel had a vision out of Eretz Yisrael. So, but exactly where in Bavel was this? So the pasuk says, "V'ani b'soich hagoyla al nahar kvar," by the river Kvar. In English, I think it's written Chebar. But in Lashon HaKodesh, Navi, it says, Al Nahar Kvar. On the river Kvar. It's a fascinating name. Nahar Kvar. A river is something that flows, that moves, that's alive. It's in a constant state of ischadshis. It's always new. Kvar is just the opposite. What does kvar mean? What's kvar? It already was. It's a kvar haya. It's a kvar haya. V'ani b'soich hagoyla al nahar kvar. Nahar kvar means in Pnimis that when we left Yerushalayim, the feeling that we had was, I was once a river, I was once alive and flowing with life. But all of that is kvar. All of that is a matter of the past. Nahar Kvar is the river of what was, of wasness. Nahar Kvar means, yes, in the past I was really strong in learning. You know how many young men have told me, Rebbe, you wouldn't believe how I used to learn when I was in yeshiva in Yerushalayim. I always said, you're 19 years old. Why are you talking like, Zekvar Nigmar, Zekvar Haya. Oh, how I used to learn, how I used to steig, wow, and the Kedusha of my life. I had such shmiras einayim. I was in such a place, I was. V'ani b'soich hagoyla al nahar kvar. Now you're sitting in this place called Kvar, and the feeling that you had is like our ancestors had on the Haras Bavel when we left Yerushalayim. that whatever was great about me is a matter of the past. Whatever chiyus I had, and whatever there was that I had to offer, is finished. I was talking to a young lady yesterday. She was dating somebody for 3 months, and she was hoping it was going to lead on to the chuppah, and it turned out to be very disappointing. And that's not where it's going. It's not going to the chuppah. So she's 21, maybe 22, and she said to me, Rebbe, I don't think I'll ever be able to feel this way about anybody again. And I said to her, I didn't use this word, but I said, I was thinking of using it. I said, honey, a week from now, you're not going to remember this guy's name. Masha Kvar Haya. 21-year-old, she's already finished. I can never ever feel this way again. I can never ever. It was something that's finished. But there's other stuff that goes with it, you know? The other stuff that goes with it is like this. Now it starts to get a little bit darker. The other stuff that goes with it is, I've also made some real serious mistakes in my past. It's not all rosy. I've made some serious mistakes. I've done some pretty bad things. I've seen some bad things. I've done some bad things. And as a result of that, the sense that I have is that these things of the past have taken away from me that chiyus that I once had. So the kids this person is now in Golus, Vani b'soich ha-Gola, on the Har Kvar, on the river of was, of what once was. The good stuff that once was is finished. The bad stuff that I did in my life that was is still killing me. And due to this, getting stuck in the past, and I'll talk in a moment about worrying about the future, that's what Golus is. It's at that place where Golus is. Look inside on the page that you have. I have to do it very quickly, but I understood that you're learning here. There's a Medrash. I was in this wonderful little room, this farm, and you have a Medrash. You're learning the Shiurim Chazdei Hashem. So I thought it'd be good to learn a little bit together. I was told I have unlimited time. Is that true? The first Torah you see there on the right side is from the Divrei Yisrael from Mudges. Let's do it very quickly. They want enough, so just look on with another Jew. Look inside. At the very beginning of creation, there was absolute, utter desolation and emptiness. Rashi says that if a person would have been at that time, if a human being could have existed at that time, he would be toyum shtoimim. He would be astonished, absolutely blown away and astonished by what? On the vohu, loshen reikus v'tzodor. Tzodor is Aramaic for emptiness. He would be astonished by the emptiness. Tohu vavohu. Tohu is a lashon of astonishment at the vohu, at the emptiness, at the desolation. Before Hashem said, "Let there be light." The Ruach of Hashem is hovering over the waters, Tirgim Yonison. And Yonison translates, what does it mean, the Ruach of Hashem is hovering? Tirgim Yonison, V'rucha d'merachamin, Ruach d'merachamin, Habes Menashba. There was a Ruach of Hashem's love, of Hashem's compassion that was like a breeze blowing over the emptiness. V'hinei, the Rebbe says, Amachadis b'tuva b'chayam tov ma'asav reishis. That every single moment of our lives, creation is happening again and again and again. Everything is new. This second, Hashem is mechaz, b'tuva, as the tiny explains in Shayich B'muna, this second mamish, everything is being created. So if there was that astonishing emptiness and desolation, the moment before the light of creation, then it's like that now also. Kachu Tamid B'chol Zman B'chol Adam. So it is at all times with each person. Kshemata Yadai Shel Adam Chas V'Shalom. That when a person looks at his life and he feels that he has no more strength, and he is astonished at the emptiness of his life. Now the Rebbe is referring to even in Gashmias. He was speaking to a very poor island, people who had nothing. A poor person without anything. And there's nothing, only emptiness. And where will my help come from? Hine Pisam, all of a sudden, Ruach Elokim Rachefes. Haine Ruach Derachmim and Kadam Hashem and Ashbis, suddenly, in that astonishing emptiness, there's a breeze of Hashem's love that blows in. V'noishe B'chal Tov. As it says in Tillim, in Mamati Mataragli, Chazduch Hashem Yisadeni, when I feel like I'm collapsing, Hashem, your love lifts me up. And so it is with the Jewish people. What was it like in 1945? I've tried to get an answer from my parents to this question. What was it like? I asked my father when the war was over. My father told me that when they were liberated from the camps, and when the war was over, he said that he felt at that moment the entire emptiness of his life that during the war he hadn't thought about. Because during the war, all he was thinking about was, where am I going to get something to drink or to eat? But when it was all over, he came back to his hometown, and he was thrown out. They weren't the people, his neighbors who took over my grandparents' house, didn't allow my father in. And he said he sat on the stairs at the bottom of the house, and he was crying. Toyo Mishtoimem. The absolute, utter emptiness. That everything is gone. There's nothing here. So how did we come back after that? So at the very beginning of time, Chazal tells is going in the four gullies, right? That each one of those words of darkness, of emptiness, is talking about Bavel and Paras and Yovan and the one we're in right now, which is Edom. Ruach Elokim, the Ruach Hashem Mashiach was called Ruach HaPeinu Mashiach Hashem. Rachef Zot Pnei Hamayim B'Schus HaTshuva. And what is Tshuva? Shenam Hashivli Kamayim Libek. That when a Jew turns to Hashem and says, Rebbeinu Shalom, I'm empty. The Baditcher of Schus used to say that the first pasuk, Vayom Lekim Hi'ar, is a Jew crying out, Vayom Lekim, I have nothing in my life. I admit to you, I'm empty. Vayom Lekim, I'm begging you, Hi'ar. And when Hashem hears that a Jew is real, and he's humble, and he's admitting that he needs him, and he doesn't have anything, then Hashem answers and responds and says, Vayom Elokim, that's the cry of the Jew, Vayom Elokim Yor, and Hashem says, Vayi Yor. Let there be light in your life. Shivchi Kamayim Libeh, pour your heart out like water. And that's how it is when it comes to serving God. When a person wakes up from the deep sleep that he's in the narishkeit, in the silliness of this world, and he examines his life, and he's astonished by the darkness and the emptiness of his life. How he's empty of Torah and mitzvahs. Here, I'm supposed to be the big NCSY, Mrs. Inspiration, Mr. Inspiration. I'm supposed to give chizuk. I'm supposed to have aces. I'm supposed to be teaching. I'm supposed to be singing. And the Rebbeinu Shalom, you know that I'm in a place of tov, avol, choshech al pnei saham. V'shoifer kamayim liba, lifnei anolei rachim. And if at that moment, instead of, God forbid, being depressed or looking at yourself, chas v'chalila, as some kind of a hypocrite or a faker, which is not true. It's not true. Every one of us sincerely wants to do the right thing and be good. But instead of looking at yourself in that way, You say to Hashem, Rabbi Shalom, Hayom Elokim, Rabbi Shalom Elokim, Yehi Or. Azai Beruach Elokim, Rachman Min Kaldem Hashem, Rachef Zol Pnei Hamayim, Sheshova B'tshuva. Because you're crying out, means that you're being honest, means you're being real. It means that you're admitting that these are things in my life that are no longer the way that they used to be, and there are things in my life that from the past that I believe are haunting me, that are hurting me. Then he goes on to explain, I don't have time to go into it more, that for that itself you have to daven that Hashem should wake you up. And in the V'hu Rachman that we said this morning, we say the pasuk of the Neil, we ask Hashem, Pekach Einecha Re'ei Shalom Eseinu. It's talking about Yerushalayim. But Pekach Einecha, Hashem, open your eyes and see, Shomer Eseinu, look at my emptiness. V'ha'ir Asher Nikra Shimcha Aleh, and the city which you named, the city that you're named after, Yerushalayim. But Peirush, V'ha'ir is a lashon of Hisayrus. Ha'ir is a lashon of Hisayrus, which means wake me up, Hashem. Sheta'ir libein shedikra shimcha aleh, shenespalel al zeh al Shomer Eseinu kanal v'havein. Rabbi Shalom Pekach Einecha Re'ei. This is the beginning of Geula. Because there are no fast aces. It's not a matter of going to a seminar or going to a conference, as choshev as a conference is. And it's a gewaldige thing for you to come together from all over, to speak to each other and to hear great people talk to you, to get chizuk and to give chizuk. But at the end of the day, when you walk away from a conference or a convention, whatever this is called, when you walk away and you have all kinds of good stuff that you heard and great people that you met, it often doesn't take long for the emptiness to set back in. And without Vayomer Elokim, Yehi Or, you can get stuck on the Har Kvar, and you can spend the rest of the year waiting for the next convention. Until somebody comes in your life, or the Shir, the Rabbi, the Rebbe, the Rebbitzin, whatever it is. Because there are two types of nisyanis that we have in life. The first is called Lech Lecha, and the second is called Vayera. You know, there's an amazing Chazal. Chazal say that, Avraham Avinu had 10 tests, nisyanis, which mean 10 types of nisyanis. His whole life, just like ours, his children, it's all nisyanis. But the nisyanis of Avraham Avinu, Chazal are asking two of the nisyanis. Lech lecha mi'artzecha, leave your land, your father's house, where you came from. That nisayin of lech lecha, it's hard. Where you come from, you're used to it. A lot of memories and connections and so on. And there's another lech lecha al Eretz Samaria. Which lech lecha is that? So Chazal take the two lech lechas, because he uses a lashon of lech lecha mi'artzecha. And by the Nisyanis, the only other place where it says a lashon of lech lecha is when Hashem tells Avraham Avinu to go to Samaria to take his son to kill him, right? To that cave. So Chazal ask, Eini Yodeya, I don't know. We don't know which is the more difficult test. Which is more difficult, leaving your home or going to the mountain to kill your son? Which is more Yoker Bein Hashem? Which is a greater test? Which is more precious in God's eyes? Which lech lecha is more chashuv? So all the Mefarshim are scrambling around this Chazal. What do you mean which is more chashuv? I mean, it's hard to leave your place. How can you compare that to going and taking up Yitzchak Avinu to that cave? So in the end, there's a diuk, and from the diuk, Chazal say, no, that's takahara. Lech lecha is takahara. What's the question? You hear the question, Chav, you hear it? Leaving home? Or going with your son to the Akeva? Because the terrorist is like this. The emes is, it's the exact same test in Pneumius. The Pneumius is the same test. Lech lecha me'artzecha means stop thinking about the past. Get out of the past. Stop thinking about how it used to be, I used to learn, or I did those aveiros in the past. Lech lecha me'artzecha u'mimoladetecha mibeis avicha. Leave the past. Stop thinking about it. Stop worrying about it. Stop the nostalgia and all that stuff. It's okay every now and then to look at a picture. Stop it already with the past. That's Lech Lecha Me'artzecha. Lech Lecha that says to go out to bring your son as a carbon. Avraham Avinu was promised that his entire future depended upon Yitzchak Avinu. So Hashem is telling a Jew, stop worrying about what's going to be in the future. Stop worrying about what's going to be after this moment. Because like Rabbi Nachman said, on the Pasuk, Hayomi Mikolos Shmo. Esmol, what was yesterday, Kvar Haya. It's the river Kvar. It already was. Tomorrow, I don't know what's going to be tomorrow. Hashlech LaHashem Yahav. Ein la'adam ela oisa hayoim v'oisa harega. All a person has is the day he's living and the moment he's in right now. And the only way that a person can ever come to his chadshus, the only way to get out of that river Kvar and that thought of what's going to be tomorrow. How am I going to make this program work a year from now, 2 years from now? Kiruv became a matter of corporate America, and I've made public many times how that's something which I believe is against the Torah. If you believe in God, then you believe that the Baruch Shalom is here this moment. You do the best you can. You thank Him for what was yesterday in the past. You beg from Him that it should be good tomorrow. Statistics, projections, I know what I'm saying is politically incorrect. Maybe there can be talks about this stuff here, and I'm sorry. I'm just one guy, this is my opinion. You don't have to take me seriously at all. But it's apikoros. It's clear and apikoros to think that what happens with my taking care of other Jews, the Baruch Shalom's children, is a matter of the studies and the statistics. It's a matter of what was written up here, or what's projected and predicted for there. I can tell you from my own life so many maisim that it went against everything that was and what will be. Because based upon what was in my life, I wouldn't be here talking to you about this stuff. And if I would be worried about what's going to be in the future, I also wouldn't be able to stand here. But ein lo adam ela oisa hayoim v'oisa harega b'lavad. And therefore, in Pneumius is the same nisayon. The nisayon of Lech Lecha Me'artzecha and the nisayon of Lech Lecha to go up to that cave is the same nisayon. It's the nisayon when the Sitra Achra, the other side, comes and tries to take you away from the moment that you're in. Because this moment you never ever had before and you'll never have again, and therefore the secret of this chadshus is this moment. This moment right now. Amalek is the Rosh Tevis, Reishis Goyim Amalek is the Rosh Tevis Rega. Reishis Goyim Amalek, because the koich of Amalek is to tell you that the ikar is Masha Kvar Haya. Or the ikar is Masha Od Lo Haya. But never the moment. Therefore, Reishis Goyim Amalek is the Rosh Tevis Rega. Because that's the fight with Amalek. That moment. These two nisayonos of Avraham Avinu, the two nisayonos we have in our lives, every moment of life is a nisayon to drift back into the past in that golus of Kvar, or to be consumed with fear of what's going to be in the future. How are you supposed to sustain these numbers? I remember years ago, I'm talking about before many of you were born, and I was first in a job that was called a kiruv professional type of a job, which I didn't understand how those two words stemmed to begin with, kiruv, with professional. Mostly it's people, if that's kiruv, professional, if you want a profession, you might as well get paid more money. And if you're in kiruv, then it's not about a profession, it's about a passion, it's about who you are as a Jew, not a profession. It doesn't mean you can't be professional about how you do things, but you better not think there's such a thing as a kiruv profession. And I remember years ago, they would have this meeting in this group that I was part of. And the question was, how many people did you make from this year? Like you're supposed to hold up a scorecard. You have to count how many people you made from. And the guy says, because if we don't get enough to show that are from, I don't know, what does that mean? Like Chol Yisrael from, or does it mean tzitzis out, tzitzis in, hair covered, not covered, Shomer Shabbos? What do you mean? How many people you made from? The model of the Baal Shem Tov, if you were able to give a Jew one thought for 1 second of his life that there's a God in heaven, you were successful. Beyond successful. A second's thought of Shavisa Hashem, of there's a Boirei and I'm a Nivra, is unbelievable success. It's not going to work for the statistics, you understand? But if you live in that reality of the Baal Shem Tov HaKadosh, it's chashes. How many people you made from? The only way to get out of this, and I'm sorry I'm going to end, it usually means it's like 5-10 minutes, to try to end now. Alan, once you invited me, so then it's two acharayis. We're not going to be able to read inside, but if you look on the left side of the page, just maybe a sentence or two. That's from Likutei Moharan, Kuf Ayin Beis. I'm sure everybody here has a Likutei Moharan at home. And if not, I'm sure you can Google it in 10 seconds or less. So Kuf Ayin Beis, Likutei Moharan, it's a very tiny little Torah. You should be able to learn the whole thing. See if you can grab somebody together and make chavrusa and learn Kuf Ayin Beis. But just look at how it starts, Rabbi Nachman. Kol ha-chesronis sheyesh l'adam hein banim hapanos habriyos. All the chesronis. All the things that we're missing in life, whether it's children, panos, health. Hakol mitzad adam ha'atzmai. Or Hashem yisborach shefer love tamid. Listen to these words. Rabbi Nachman. Or Hashem yisborach shefer love tamid. The light of Vayom Elokim Hi'or, that light of creation of this moment is shefer love tamid. It's pouring upon each and every one of us every moment of life. Or Hashem is Bar Shafei Alav Tamid. The person, because of his mistakes and his distorted way of thinking, creates a blockage, a tzel, some shadow or shade, some achitza that blocks that Or of Hashem that's constantly pouring upon him. Shein Megillah Or Hashem is Bar. So the light of Hashem is not reaching him, so when he opens up Rav Shaila carries his bag, he looks inside, and it's empty. And he's mishtoimim, and he says, I have nothing. I'm empty. And then Nachman goes on to say an extraordinary chiddush in words that we say all the time. We'll read it inside later. On the words, Maloi chol haaretz kavayda. Kodesh, Kodesh, Kodesh Hashem. Kodesh Hashem, sorry. Maloi chol haaretz kavayda. Hashem, Maloi chol haaretz kavayda. It means the whole world is filled with Kavod Hashem. When was the last time you saw that? Maloi chol haaretz kavayda. Kodesh, Kodesh, Kodesh Hashem Tzavakos. Miloi chol haaretz kavayda. It doesn't say Molei. It says Miloi chol haaretz kavayda. And the Mefarshim and the Medaktikim explain the difference between Molei and Moloi. Rabbi Nachman says, Kodesh, Kodesh, Kodesh Hashem Tzavakos. Hashem Tzavakos is everywhere. This second, He loves you, He adores you the same way He, by the creation of the world, there was a ruach of love, and it's surrounding us. And His light is Shafei Tamid. So why don't I feel that? Why don't you feel that? So Nachman says, because if your ego, if your sense of self, if your obsession with this world, and who you think you are in this world, gets in the way, you'll never ever see that light of God. You'll never ever be able to feel that ischadus, that freshness, that excitement. Never. Because when you're with Hashem, you're attached to Him, everything is new, everything is fresh. So the secret is like this. This is what Rabbi Nachum says. You want to be able to receive that light of Hashem? It's milo. If you make yourself into low. If you make yourself low, it's not me. Milo, me, low. From the koach of low. From the koach of low kol haaretz. It's not me and it's not about me in this world. Kvaydai. And Hashem's glory and Hashem's presence will be revealed to you in the most obvious and most beautiful way. So what we're talking about here today, Chevron, is that there's a way that even people like ourselves who are adults, there's a way that you and I can start again. Every moment. The people that you're meeting are such inspiring people. The people who you're teaching and you're trying to reach. Allow them to reach deep into you with their questions, with their excitement about discovering Hashem, like Avraham Avinu, like the Bnei Terach. Because for a child, everything is always new. A child is never thinking about what was, and a child is never worried about what's going to be. And in that respect, Hashem wants us to be, no matter how many years go by, He wants us to remain like children. Like children. And you know what happened by that river Kvar? I didn't tell the end of the story. The end of the story by river Kvar, the Zohar Kodesh tells us that Bois Hashem gathered together. He gathered together all the angels and all the neshamas of the tzaddikim. He said to them, Ma atam ha'osim kan, translating from the Aramaic. Ma atam ha'osim kan, what are you all doing here in Shemayim? Bonai, Ahuvai, my beloved children, Ayard and Labov of Atam kan. My beloved children are going into Golos Labov and you're staying here in Shemayim, Yerushalayim Shamala. Kumu rudu kulchem Labov of ani imochem. And then it says in Pasuk, Niftuchu Shemayim, ve'era maris elokim. Hashem Sruach always says that when my children are in Golos, they're going down to Bavel. Bavel means Bilbul. When my child is in Bavel and he calls out to me, Al Nahar Kvar, and he remembers that it's not him. It's not him. He remembers that it's me. Malach al Haaretz Kavaydai. Then Hashem says to the Malachim, to the Neshamas of the Tzaddikim, let's go and be with this person in his life right now. No matter how many years have gone by, you could begin again with that help of Hashem. So let's just read the poem at the end over here. There was an amazing woman in Yerushalayim. She called herself by a number of aliases. I've read some of these poems in shul. There's a book that's called Memo to Self. It's very hard to get. It was published by Feldheim around 20 years ago. It's very, very hard to get. She was a woman that came from a non-religious home in Baltimore, and she ended up being a Breslover Chasidista, married to an Israeli Breslover in Meir Sharm. That's not easy. And she was an extraordinarily talented poet. Her real name was Sarah Rosenblatt. She died, unfortunately, 2 years ago. And she left behind poems that speak to our generation. This is one that is from a new collection that hasn't been published yet. It was actually being given out in a booklet in the OU Center in Yerushalayim. That's where one of the Chaver brought it for me back from Yerushalayim. Maybe you can get them from over there. It's going to all be put together in a new book that's supposed to be coming out sometime soon. The old stuff and more new stuff. So this is just one of hundreds and hundreds of poems that you see on the left side over there. It's called Now Flowers. Now flowers, they don't ask any questions. They don't ask as seeds, why am I locked from light, destined, doomed to darkness? Why do I rot here, mired deep in mud? Why am I so small, so nothing, so alone? Why must I keep pushing ever upwards? Why are there so many worms and bugs? Breaking through the soil into light, into warm sunshine and fresh air. They don't ask, why am I yet so lowly? Is this the reason for my struggle, for my pain? Is this all there is? Budding, blooming as their leaves unfold, they don't ask, why must this take so long? Tiny petal by tiny petal, tiny leaf by leaf. In full bloom, they don't ask, why are other flowers taller, stronger, more fragrant, more richly, brightly hued? When bees buzz round, flowers do not ask, who are you to drain me of my sweetness? Why are you taking everything that's mine? When winter comes, they don't ask, why must lovely colors fade? Why must my pretty petals fall away? Why must I wilt and droop? Why was my time so fleeting? Why must all things, and I too, die? No flowers, they don't ask questions, they just grow. Hashem Yisrael should give you a bracha, each and every one of you, Imamish. I know you're being told all kinds of compliments this week, and it shouldn't be heard in an empty way. Imamish, from the biggest people that the Bereshit has in the world now. Be like flowers. Stop thinking about what a hard winter you had and how am I going to make it to the spring. Just grow and grow and grow. And the more you grow and the more life that you feel inside of yourself, the more life you're going to have. So the tzaddikim, the tzadkanis that Hashem Yisbarach has appointed to come into your orbit, into your Da'at Amos, these last few minutes before Mashiach comes, we should be zeichet to see with our eyes, Ayin B'ayin, you b'shuv Hashem, see under the Glush Amitis, Amen.